Colin, welcome to the update on the Hinterstein Campaign. So good to have you on. You are a superstar, my friend. Everyone is looking forward to this one because the Drosch Garrison might be the most famous command in this entire game. I was just talking to Melchett, and he was talking about how you made such a great show up there. So we're going to talk all the way through it. How did you find Kriegsspiel? Just before we get started, just so we hear that story.
Oh, it's a long one, but I'll cut it short. Basically, I played Total War a lot when
Okay.
I was a child, and I grown to dislike it because it's so unrealistic, and I kind of wanted more. And then
Yep.
I looked through a lot of video games, and there is none that are like even close to what I want. Maybe Ultimate General series, but it's ended, and
Uh-huh.
I've played all of it. So I've eventually started to get into war games, but I don't like what people usually call war games. Like
Right.
didn't like it even more than Total War because Total War at least somewhat realistic compared to say Warhammer.
Right.
Others are better, but it's still playing with those. I think it's yeah. So eventually I googled like war games uh,
Uh-huh.
because I looked for them, and I stumbled upon a Wikipedia article about them, and it said that first war game was like after chess. I mean, was like something called uh, Kriegsspiel by Raswitz or something, and then I
Right.
googled that, and that's how I stumbled on IKS.
Got it. And that's a great path, and we each come a little bit differently. But Total War kicked it off, and then you ended up with the IKS. But it's such a pleasure to have you in the scenario and in the server. So we'll go ahead, and I'm going to bring up map one. Map one shows the start of the scenario. You were on the blue team, which was the Schwarzhafen team, commanded by Melchett.
Hmm.
And you were given the command of the Drosch Garrison. So there's a yellow circle around the Drosch Garrison where you're way up in the north, and there's lots of red forces around you up there. What was your thinking when you got that command?
Well, I didn't know that there was any red force. Like before the game,
Right.
the planning was generally consensus that Reds
Right.
would be lucky to come around Quast, and
Yeah.
if they come from anywhere else, well, we'd be better off. And they probably come around Quast because north is our capital, and south is, I mean, basically the same as Quast from the west for us,
Right.
and sorry, east for us, and
Okay.
it's just likely because we come from one side, they come from the other. Like that's what I thought at least. And yeah, so I didn't know. Honestly, to talk about this deployment, I
Uh huh.
kind of, when I was assigned to it, I kind of didn't think it was a good place to put garrisons because we could choose where we put them.
Right.
I thought like it was out of the way of anything. Like best it could do is maybe flank their supply lines, but I don't know if it even could do this because it's like a garrison militia.
Mm-hmm.
I was personally in favor of putting everyone either at everyone from the garrisons either at Krum or at Holtz,
Right.
where they would be right in the enemy's path,
Yeah. Right.
so they could hold them with their fighting.
That was an option. You're right. The garrisons could have gone anywhere. So could
I
have put
don't
one
think.
in two in Crum or one in Holtz and Crum, which was southeast of. If you're looking at the map, it's southeast
Yeah,
of the circle. Yeah.
I
And
mean
then if we go ahead. Yeah.
personally, I don't think they would. I didn't thought at the time they the garrisons would do much. I assumed it would be like more a gamey thing where the battle would take a turn, and the turn is a day. So
Right.
each fight would slow the enemy down by one day, even if it would be inevitably lost like completely.
Right.
That's what my thinking, Jim.
That's good thinking. The garrisons were inspired by the forts in the Franco-Prussian War because even
Uh,
though the Prussians had gained tremendous ground and had superb victories, they still had these fortified towns that would cause them problems with supply. So
that makes
the
so much
idea of
sense now.
the idea of a garrison was, as you say, it could slow down the advance or it could cause a problem for supply if it wasn't cleaned up later, which would then just sap away strength. So,
Yeah,
so you were thinking about it right. I want to pull up map 2, which shows all of the forces coming, really focusing in on you. So, if you look, did you have a sense that you had like 6 divisions all coming at you at
oh
once?
no, not even. I thought I was up against one division
Right?
from Ruthful, Ruthful,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I thought, since I saw the advance guard, that's the only thing I saw from the east. I thought, well, they probably sent an advance guard to here to check up on me, or like on the divisions coming from this division coming from that direction from Ruthful. But they themselves are moving to halls because, like, why would they move anywhere else? That was my
Right.
thinking. So I was thinking it was like one division and advance tops.
Right. And so you saw a small force coming from the east, a larger from the west, and figured there was one division coming your way, when in fact it was a point of concentration for the entire red force under Swentz, right? So
Yeah,
so let's switch to map 3 and we'll go into the battle itself. The defense of Drosch. So you had 2 regiments of infantry and
yeah.
then 2 batteries of artillery. Talk through the artillery and its move across the river to the north of Drosch. And if you look here
Oh,
on map 3, you can see them up.
yeah.
They've gone across the river and outside the town.
That's very simple. It's much more stupid than you think usually. So in the previous map, on the operational scale, when I
Yeah.
got my first report, the first turn, it was 18th, I think. I saw 2 pieces, of, like infantry and artillery. One was
Right.
in Drosh, the other one wasn't. Like it was in the field nearby Drosh.
Right.
I thought, well, maybe Drosh is a small town. It happens. Like a railway thing sprung out trading or something, and so it's probably just even such small force just couldn't fit in there because it's so small, the town.
Right.
So I thought, well, I cannot place the artillery in the open; they'd be overrun. And I thought, uh, well, I cannot put the artillery in the town and the infantry out of the town because without infantry support, they wouldn't be able. They would still be overrun.
Right.
So that became a problem to solve for me, kinda.
Okay.
Even though I made it up, apparently.
Well,
That's the
but once you
solution I
saw
came
the
up.
tactical map, you could see that there was room, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I also thought, well, the artillery over there, it's fortified, and the enemy isn't coming from there. So
Right.
any movement would degrade them. That's kind of a role play thing. Like uh,
Yeah.
moving your forces degrades them, even if it's efficient, and in game it wouldn't be represented. So I thought, yeah, like a commander in this scenario wouldn't cause this unnecessary confusion if what we have here works. And I thought it would work because, like, not perfectly, but why wouldn't it? Like, artillery is still fortified there. We build a redoubt, I think.
Yeah. And in the end, the reason the artillery was reduced is that they were just outnumbered, right? The
Yeah.
red forces just had more artillery than you did. So that I think if they were in the town or out of the town, they might have survived a little bit longer, but you were outmatched in terms of the firepower. So
Also,
that makes sense.
at this
Yeah.
point, I didn't really hope to do much. I thought the enemy would, probably flank us, maybe, but mostly then come at us with infantry and drive us out of the town with bayonets.
Right.
Well, if necessary, because they could, like, they have so much more men and they are more experienced. They're regulars. We're militia.
Right.
That's what I thought they would do. So the most I hope to achieve is to knock out a couple batteries from them.
Right. And in the end, so let's go ahead and move. I'll bring up map 4. So your artillery had some bad luck.
Yeah.
So the enemy artillery hit an ammunition wagon on the bridge and really knocked that bridge around a little bit. And then they could focus on that artillery to the north. So that was really bad luck because that was an unusual circumstance.
Well, it happens.
It happens.
War,
But your instinct on the flank was correct. If you look down the river there, you see they put up a pontoon and they were flanking you down on that side.
Yeah. At this point, there was talk about we should send someone there among the tactical commanders, but I personally don't think it would have mattered much because we probably wouldn't be able to catch them, and even if we would, they might have still have artillery there, and maybe they just don't and cross a different point anyway. And
Right.
if we move someone there, we leave the town more exposed.
So you had 2 human commanders who were joined you in the town, and they
Yeah.
were actually had 3, right? You had the
The
commanders of
artillery
each of the
commander too.
regiments, and then the artillery commander, although he didn't last too long.
Sad.
So what were the debates going on in town? So one of the ideas was to go down and try to stop the flanking move, and
Oh yeah, catch them on the pontooning.
right.
There's also was this advanced guard that could attack the town straight head on, and
Yeah.
I thought at the time it wasn't much, but I didn't know it could have been more. So even though I thought it was unlikely,
Yeah.
and maybe they
Okay.
had cavalry, then it's over.
Well, I think it's a credit to you, and it was well played that you maintained your patience and stayed put, because that's the hardest thing to do in Kriegsspiel, because we always think we should do something, but in fact, you took the smartest route because they chose not to attack you in the town, and so your infantry survived.
And I was surprised by it, honestly.
Yeah, they they just let you alone, I guess. So on map 4, there's an arrow that shows the artillery and the bad luck with the bridge, but you can see there the advance guard to the southeast, the forces across the river from you waited. Then there was a pontooning effort, and then if we move to map 5, you can see in the larger scenario they kind of bottled you up there and said, "Okay, now let's go ahead and march south," and they left a force kind of the same size as you guarding you, basically.
Well, I think at first it was more than my force,
It
significantly.
was at first, yeah.
I also thought at this time that, wow, because I thought we're very lucky, because I thought they're leaving more regulars, actual soldiers, to guard us,
That's right.
a numerically inferior militia without artillery.
The
So
brigade that they left behind could have helped for sure, right?
yeah,
Could have helped. What so you had 4 days supply at the end of that battle, right?
you said about a week or so. I thought,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was 4 days, but
But it got down to 4 days until you had the inspired move. And now we go from the map to some of the more narrative imagery,
mhm.
which was actually as much fun to umpire as I hope it was to play. You came up with this idea that you would send spies out into the countryside. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I done it mostly out of boredom. I thought, like, well, I'm sitting here anyway. I could as well do something. I actually sent spies only to see the pontoon bridge and if
You
it would
did.
be
That's
destroyed.
correct. And the
Um,
image that I brought up now is that this is one of the spies furtively moving down the bank to the pontoon bridge. And they reported back to you, didn't they?
yeah, they said that the Reds already dismantled it or something, I think.
Right. And they dismantled it and they moved on. So you knew that the pontoon was gone.
I was planning on destroying it or something because they had supplies from Ruthul apparently. I didn't know
Right.
they had other supplies,
Right.
at least close enough.
But you now had valuable information because nobody was going to move east to west because the bridges around the town were destroyed.
Oh yeah, they
And
destroyed the bridges. I forgot about that.
yeah, so you had all the bridges around the town were destroyed, to include the railroad bridge.
Hmm.
And then they didn't have a pontoon to your south. So um, and so then things got very creative. So you began calling the troops together and lecturing them. So now I'm going to bring up an image of you lecturing the troops, um, bolstering their morale. So it was terrific, right? So we had all sorts of activities. That was the most active front, the Drosch
For real?
Garrison, right?
Wow.
There's terrific historical reports from the Franco-Prussian War, where in Sedan, where the French were basically surrounded. They still kept up all of their routines, and they still had inspections and parades and stuff. So
Mm.
you kind of did that in Drosh.
Well, I guess kind of.
So, uh, and then you gave out awards to your spies, right? So here's an image of you actually handing out an award to a spy, and talk a little bit about the information you got from the countryside, as well as the fair that you threw. So you actually threw a fair
Well,
outside.
yeah, the fair is. So I didn't think that fair would do much. It was a tactic. I thought like I could maybe manipulate the enemy commander who was besieging me.
Yeah.
I also didn't know if it was a player. Still don't know. But I thought maybe if it is a player, he could
Right.
he would see like this preposterous nonsense and react to it, and we would shoot at them and win or something. Well,
It was great. There were children playing, and it was great. And the biggest thing was that you were able to your guerrilla network, which you activated,
yeah,
was able to bring food to the town. So in fact, the supplies were no longer a problem from the perspective of food.
yeah, that was so. Well, I mean, it was actually quite nice and I guess completely reasonable. I was also planning on like because this fair, it was a tactic that I didn't invent myself. I looked it up, not looked it up. I remembered it from something earlier, like earlier. I mean, from the
Yeah.
ancient sources,
Uh-huh.
sources on ancient warfare and sieges. There was like this kind of stuff happening there. I was also thinking eventually, uh, when we were sitting, like it was long days of nothing. I was thinking we should do what the Romans did at one of the sieges that they endured. I don't remember what's the name of the town, but they
Uh-huh.
started planting cabbage on the outside of the city walls, like just under them.
Uh-huh.
It was a town, not a city, but they the siege was long since it's like ancient. It happens there. The
Right.
cabbage grown up, like it was planted and it was ripe before the siege was over, and it was ready to harvest. And that prompted the besieging commander to attack. And I thought, damn, we should do the same.
Do the same.
Yeah,
With a
of course,
picnic.
all that kind. Of course, I wasn't going to like spend valuable resources. I was
No.
going to like plant rocks. Like, it would look like something. We planted something like from distance. You wouldn't be able to tell that that's rocks.
Right.
I didn't get to do it because I thought about it, or rather, I got the courage to do this only after the tactical battle that ended the campaign started. So,
Right. Now, Melchett, who was the CIC for the Blue Force, said that the piece of information you gave about the amount of forces that were at Drosch and the amount that left were really important for his understanding of the battlefield. So you actually provided some key intelligence
Oh,
by being there. Yeah,
I actually didn't know if any of my dispatches came through.
they did. They did, and you really helped him solidify his picture. He said in his discussion, you hear it if you listen to it, that he knew more about the enemy than he did his own forces, began partially due to the fact that you had sent him good intelligence, because he literally had eyes behind the lines.
Yeah, well, I guess that's lucky.
Well, if you hadn't hung in there, if you hadn't been patient, and you hadn't had some creativity around sending spies out and actually taking advantage of your situation, because the reality was the enemy had reduced the forces around, that were keeping an eye on you down to be equal to the size of your own.
Yeah, I
And so they couldn't do anything but sit there and stare at you. They couldn't even have come and stolen your rock-like cabbages if they'd wanted to. Right. I was waiting for you to send out a party to destroy one of their depots and really get some guerrilla action going, but
oh.
the game ended before you could get that.
No, I
Uh,
was thinking about it from like basically the start of the tactical battle, or even
yeah,
before. I thought that if I send like half of my troops, like one regiment wouldn't be able to hold out even against. I was constantly thinking that it's militia; they wouldn't amount for defending if there's like not enough of them.
right.
That's what probably held me down to. Uh,
Yeah, but you did what you could. So I think what was super interesting, and we laugh about the position that you're in and some of the funny stuff, but you really made the right decisions, because it was a it was a pain for them to have that town hold out in their rear area. They would have had to have gone back and dealt with you, and rather than keep marching on, if the
yeah,
scenario would have continued, right? So
I guess so.
you, you provided a strategic value by the decisions that you took.
uh, I didn't expect that, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like you say. You're talking about the Franco-Prussian War and their the siege of Metz, was it?
It was Metz. Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah, kind of
I
similar
said
situation, but
I said Sedan, but I meant Metz. Yeah, yeah, similar.
uh, unintentionally, of course. But
Well, but
it's
you did what you could with a limited situation. So, and you kept your sense of humor,
the most important thing.
and yeah, right. Because sometimes you get to be the CIC and command the forces, and sometimes you're the commander of the Drosch Garrison. And either way, you just have fun with it, right?
Mhm.
So the whole thing came together in beautiful form, as you said. You just pictured yourself being a little heavier set, a little with a little more weight. And so this is you enjoying a cup of coffee at the end there, and you just kept getting heavier and heavier as the time went on, which meant that the food intake from your spies was very successful.
I mean, I guess
And
that's
I
so funny.
and I also noticed your uniforms got more and more ornate as times went on, which just shows your success as a.
All of this was originally a joke. Every single part of the game.
It was terrific. It was a lot of fun. Well, you did a really good thing, and you provide a great example, and why I'm really happy that you're able to come and share what you did here, because many times you can't have Kriegsspiel without some corners of the battlefield ending up being slower than where the main action is, and none of us can control that. You found yourself in a slower corner, but you made it interesting and funny, and I actually I got a kick out of it, and I enjoyed doing it myself. So you brought a lot of fun to it. Um, for this campaign, and that was the Hinterstein campaign. What just because we've kind of gone through all the things you did there. What are some of the other types of games you like playing in Kriegspiel?
Oh, well, I really enjoy games that, I'm not a historian. Like,
Okay,
I am kind of, but a very amateur one. I
sure.
read sources only scarcely and here and there. I don't get a picture of how it happens usually on the ground. So I and like when we play abstracted games, it I see them not as like I see these squares with crosses on them as not like glorious guys marching on in lines like in the
Right.
Waterloo film or Borodino, but as just squares because I don't know what's happening there on the ground since I well, I have no clue.
Yeah.
So I enjoy mostly. Well, there isn't many of those games, so not really enjoy, but I like the most playing the games that are really to the ground. They're the games that are most immersive, where I make pieces for IKEA, not really
Yep.
the greatest ones perhaps, but I like them.
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
where
I've seen your work in the channels. Yeah.
oh, yes, I'm very pleased with this. So I made the pieces where there is every single guy that's supposed to be there is like
Yeah.
in his place. I get like you say a kick of it from it
Yeah.
because
Good.
I can see where they are. I know what's happening with them. I don't have to imagine it and
Right.
do stuff because it's kind of represented in the game. It's part of it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
3D maps also help with it. Uh, and
I haven't
three,
really gotten to master the 3D maps, although I respect tremendously the people who are able to make those. Those are terrific.
maybe I should make more of them because I find it rather easier probably than most people because 3D is my occupation for the day job.
Great. Yeah. Okay. I think there are the history books that are interesting. They show the basically a 3D ground view, not 3D. Show a ground's eye view of like the hills and things. And I think the 3D maps have the opportunity to make screenshots more interesting if you're looking from the ground through a 3D visual. So the hills are the hills, and I think that's an interesting idea.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's also kind of like a reconstruction thing where you discover new stuff as you play. You get it kind of like in most games, like generally Kriegsspiel does this on in its own because you get to play Kriegsspiel for the first time. You're like, why isn't everything like I imagined it is? And
Yeah.
that's the most beautiful thing about Kriegsspiel. And I feel like 3D maps, first-person view, Krieg screenshots, and more closer to the ground pieces kind of roll this ball further,
Uh huh.
maybe even if a little bit, even if some people don't need it because they're very well versed in the history of it, and maybe even find it a little, um, how do you say it, uh, improper, because it may lead you to conclusions that are plausible but didn't happen.
Right. Now, do you umpire as well, right?
Well, yeah, I actually, when I got into IKS, I played only a couple games and then I started assisting at the.
Assisting. Okay.
Well, I've been an assistant umpire because I didn't know much.
Yeah.
I kind of got straight into the water without learning to swim first,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I
Well.
just continued umpiring. I enjoy umpire, and then eventually I started to do games, a game on my own.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Well, if you're creating pieces and doing those types of things, it's a great way to start.
for
And
sure.
if you 3D maps and things like that. So you're doing a good job in certainly contributing to the Moltke, which is the 1858 to 1882 Prussians. What other periods do you like?
I Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason I really enjoy American Revolution.
Oh, okay.
Like most people I feel like they're mostly interested in like the periods and history of their own place where they're from. Like
Sure.
Americans usually do ACV always. It seems people
It
from
seems to be a popular one. Yeah.
yeah people from the Balkans do games about Ottoman conquest of the Balkans
Yeah.
more often
Yeah.
than other people. And
Our Scandinavian colleagues do a lot of Northern War stuff.
yeah, that's.
Yeah.
But I'm not from Americans. I'm literally from the other part from of the globe.
Yeah.
But I just can't help but like this period and this conflict. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the symmetry and novelty kind of it, because it's different from others a little, in the
Yeah.
sense that there wasn't a military in the West Indies at first, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
it was built up from the ground up. Has a lot of a prevalence of skirmishing. That's that who
Hmm.
were only starting to develop it. I guess I'm not sure if it's correct to say that they were starting to develop.
No, I think I think it's a period like the Franco-Prussian War era. It's a period that's overshadowed by a larger conflict. So
Yeah,
World Wars One and Two overshadow the Franco-Prussian War, so that it's actually Franco-Prussian War. You could call it underserved. I don't know what that even means, but there's just not a lot of people play it because the World War One and Two is so big and popular. But the American Civil War tends to overshadow the Revolution, although there's you know, certainly there's probably more American Revolution games than there are Franco-Prussian War. But there's a lot of nuance in things that are not usually explored about the American Revolution that I think is quite interesting. So I think it's cool. Well, I'm studying Europe. You study the U.S., so we're averaging out.
yes. That's
So neither one of us are studying close to home. Um,
always helps to branch out things that not close to you, bring new perspectives, and maybe
yeah,
start
I think so.
seeing new perspectives because you're studying stuff that you're not used to.
It'd be interesting to see your perspective on the 7 Years' War
Oh,
after having studied the American Revolution.
yeah, for sure. I'm also. It's kind of like the period that I'm learning about right now because,
Okay.
as I say, I'm not a historian, and the games that I've started playing in and umpiring first in were Napoleonics, and 7 Years' War is kind of similar to it, but also kind of not. And
Right.
I know very little about it because uh, I don't know why actually, for some reason.
Yeah. Just you haven't taken the time. Sure.
And so I'm now currently learning all about it, what I can find, and hopefully it's going to be.
That's great. Maybe we'll see you put together some materials from that period as well. So, um,
Yeah.
well, look, thank you for coming on and talking about what the small but important role you played in this. I think
Mhm.
everyone is talking about the Drosch Garrison with a lot of fun and humor, and everybody enjoyed reading your innovative ways of playing the game and your sense of humor about it. But also, you actually did play an important role tying down forces disproportionately, as you said. And then when it slowed down, you had some fun with it as well. So I really hope you keep playing with us, and I think you did a great job, and it was a lot of fun.
I hope I keep playing with you too. Thank you very
Good.
much again.
Now that I know you're an assistant umpire, I'm going to rope you in.
Oh,
So
for sure, anytime.
good deal. All right, Colin. Thanks so much.
Thank you again.